So female nature is not what you were told, my friend, and it is a lot less romantic than you want it to be. You know exactly how this plays out. You give your best years, your effort, your loyalty, and you build this story in your head about love, about bond, about how she will stand by you because of everything you have done. Then the money dips, the health slips, the attention dries up, or another option appears in her world. And suddenly you are looking at a version of her you swear you have never met before. Most men are shocked in that moment. They say things like, "I thought she was different. I thought what we had was special." What they never learned is the brutal part. She is not broken. She is not an alien. She is human. And human nature, especially in relationships, runs on benefit, power, and instinct far more than on the fairy tales you were raised on. Tonight, I am not here to comfort you. I am here to wake you up. We are going to take Stoicism, mix it with Machiavelli, and break down 10 brutal truths about female nature that most men never hear until it is too late. If you are ready to stop being surprised and start seeing clearly, hit that subscribe button and stay close. Let's get into it. Number 1. She chooses benefit over bond. Let's be real for a moment, my friend. This is the truth most men refuse to see until it punches them in the chest. A woman stays with you because of the benefits she feels in the relationship, not because of some mystical, permanent bond you think love creates. That doesn't make her evil. It makes her human. Machiavelli said it 500 years ago, and modern psychology proves it today. People stay where the value is, and they leave when the value drops. Let me show you how this plays out in real life. David, 58, from Michigan, had been married to Lisa, 55, for almost 20 years. He always believed their connection was unbreakable because of everything they'd been through. Kids, mortgages, medical scares, you name it. But when David lost his job and fell into a long slump, something shifted. Lisa wasn't cruel, but she grew distant, colder, less open, less sexual. She wouldn't say it out loud, but David felt it. She didn't see the same benefit she once did. Stability, direction, confidence, and the bond he thought would protect him vanished. Contrast that with another situation. Mark, 54, from Georgia, had been seeing a woman named Evelyn, 52. Their connection wasn't long-term. No kids, no marriage, no deep history. Yet when Mark hit a rough patch, back injury, months out of work, Evelyn stayed. She covered groceries, checked in, supported him. Why? Not because the bond was deeper, but because the benefit exchange was still balanced. Mark still gave her emotional strength, grounded masculine energy, and a sense of certainty he never lost, even when his circumstances fell apart. She stayed because the value was still there, not because of a romantic narrative. This is the brutal truth most men never accept. A woman is loyal to the benefits of being with you. Your mindset, your stability, your protection, your leadership, your ambition, your confidence, your presence, not the history you've built. You can love her with your whole soul. You can give her your years, your money, your loyalty. But if those benefits turn into burdens, emotionally, financially, psychologically, her instincts shift. Not instantly, not maliciously, but inevitably. Women operate like everyone else on Earth, through exchange, emotional support, security, attraction, opportunity, direction, growth. And when that exchange becomes one-sided, the bond weakens, even if she wishes it wouldn't. I know that sounds harsh, but it should empower you. Because it means this: if you maintain your value, you maintain the relationship. If you maintain your purpose, you maintain her respect. If you maintain your strength, you maintain her desire. This is not cynicism. It is clarity. And Marcus Aurelius said it perfectly. See what is, not what you wish it to be. When you finally look at relationships through the lens of benefit instead of fantasy, everything changes. You stop expecting unconditional loyalty. You stop being blindsided when people shift. You stop giving more than you can afford. And you start building relationships based on mutual value instead of wishful thinking. If this hits home, drop a comment and write "I see clearly." Stick with me, because what comes next will explain exactly why her tests are not random. They're her way of figuring out whether you're still worth following. Number 2, she tests you to feel your strength. Let's be honest, my friend. Every woman on earth tests a man. Not because she's manipulative, not because she's cruel, and not because she enjoys creating drama. She tests you for one reason. She wants to feel the strength behind your words. She wants to know whether the man standing in front of her is steady or shaky, grounded or reactive, a leader or a follower. And the only way she can measure that is through pressure. Machiavelli wrote that people never act with discipline unless necessity forces them to. The same instinct shows up in relationships, but in a more subtle, emotional way. A woman tests to reveal your nature. She doesn't want to hear that you're confident. She wants to see it. She wants to experience it. She wants to feel it through your reactions when things don't go your way. These tests come in many forms. She gets a little distant to watch your response. She challenges something you said to measure your conviction. She throws a sarcastic remark to see whether you crumble or laugh. She delays a reply to watch whether you lose control of your emotions. She disagrees with you, not because she truly cares about the topic, but because she wants to feel whether your frame is stable. Most men misinterpret all of this as rejection. They panic. They try to fix things. They argue. They apologize for things they shouldn't apologize for. They start over-explaining themselves, and in that moment, the test is already failed. Because what she was really checking for wasn't your correctness. It was your composure. Remember this. Women don't want a man who is always right. They want a man who is always steady. That's why Stoicism is so powerful here. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If anything external troubles you, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." That single line is the blueprint for passing any female test. You stay calm because you choose to stay calm. You choose stability over emotional reaction. You choose presence over panic. And that choice is what she feels. When she tests you, she is not trying to push you away. She's trying to find something solid to hold on to. The feminine is fluid. It shifts. It changes. It feels. The masculine is supposed to be the counterweight. When she shakes the table and you stay centered, she relaxes. When she pushes and you don't topple, she trusts. When she pressures and you remain grounded, she becomes more attracted, not to your words, but to your steadiness. But here's the part most men overlook. Passing a test doesn't mean overpowering her. It doesn't mean talking over her or proving a point. It means responding with calm strength. Slow speech, deep breath, a grounded posture, no defensiveness, no emotional spikes, no begging for harmony. The moment you stay rooted, the dynamic flips in your favor. Failing a test isn't about losing her. It's about losing her respect. When a woman feels she can shake you emotionally, she can no longer rest in the connection. She becomes anxious. she becomes doubtful. Her attraction begins to fade, not because she hates you, but because she cannot feel your strength. A woman tests because she wants a man strong enough to lead the emotional space between you. When you master that, you don't only pass her tests, you eliminate the need for them. She stops checking your strength because she can feel it every time you walk into the room. If this resonates, drop a comment and write "I hold steady." Stay tuned, because next we're going to break down why being too available kills attraction faster than any mistake you can make. Number 3, she loses attraction when you're too available. Let me break something to you gently, my friend, because most men learn this lesson only after the damage is done. A woman does not lose attraction because you are kind, supportive, or interested. She loses attraction because you become too available, too predictable, too easy to reach, too quick to respond, too ready to drop everything the moment she shows a hint of attention. And nothing dries out feminine desire faster than a man who abandons his own life to orbit around hers. Let me show you how this plays out in real life so you can see it clearly. Michael, 57, from Colorado, started dating a woman named Sharon, 54. In the beginning, things were great. They texted back and forth, went out for dinner, had long conversations that felt natural. But slowly, without noticing, Michael began reorganizing his entire schedule around her. If she texted, he replied immediately. If she hinted she might be free, he canceled plans with friends. He stopped going to the gym, skipped his fishing weekends, and basically lived with his phone in his hand, hoping she would reach out. Sharon didn't get turned off because he liked her. She got turned off because he made himself too accessible. She didn't have to invest. She didn't have to initiate. She didn't have to wonder about him, think about him, or miss him. He was always there, always responding, always ready. And when there is no tension, there is no attraction. Now contrast that with a different scenario. Paul, 55, from Virginia, met a woman named Diane, 52. He liked her just as much as Michael liked Sharon, but Paul had one thing going for him: discipline. He kept his routine. He didn't instantly reply to every message. He took his time. Not cold, not distant, just steady. Diane felt something that Sharon never did: space. Space to feel curiosity. Space to wonder. Space to reach out. Space to think about him instead of being supplied with him constantly. That space created tension, and tension created desire. Women aren't attracted to constant availability. They're attracted to selective availability. Because selective availability communicates value. Here's the truth. Every time you overextend, every time you drop everything, every time you rush to respond, you communicate one thing: your time isn't valuable. Your attention isn't valuable. And a woman feels that emotionally before she even thinks about it logically. The feminine instinctively wants a man who has a world outside of her. A man with purpose, movement, direction, commitments, goals, hobbies, brothers, responsibilities. That world makes you attractive because it makes you less available. Not unavailable, just not constantly accessible. Women don't fall for men who are always present. They fall for men whose presence has weight. And presence only has weight when it is earned, when she has to invest, when she has to wonder, when she has to participate in the connection, instead of sitting back and receiving everything from you. This doesn't mean ignoring her. It means choosing her without abandoning yourself. It means being available without being disposable. It means giving attention without selling your time for free. Michael learned this the hard way. Sharon slowly pulled away, said she needed space, and he couldn't understand why. He thought effort would win her. He didn't realize effort without boundaries destroys polarity. Paul, on the other hand, kept Diane chasing, not through games, but through balance, through controlled presence, through having a life that didn't collapse into hers. If this hits home, drop a comment and write, "I protect my time. Stay with me." Next, we dive into a truth most men avoid. She respects consequences, not kindness. Number 4, she respects consequence, not kindness. Let me level with you, my friend. One of the hardest truths for men to accept is this: a woman does not respect you because you are kind, generous, patient, or forgiving. She respects you because your boundaries have consequences. Niccolò Machiavelli said that people are loyal only as long as it serves them, but they fear consequences far more consistently than they love comfort. And that applies in relationships more than anywhere else. Most men misunderstand this completely. They think kindness earns loyalty. They think patience earns gratitude. They think forgiveness earns change. But in reality, none of that builds respect unless there is a backbone behind it. Kindness without consequence becomes weakness. Patience without consequence becomes permission. Forgiveness without consequence becomes invitation. Every woman, no matter how sweet, loving, or mature, will test the edges of your boundaries, just like any human will. When she crosses the line and nothing happens, you silently teach her that the line was never real. The disrespect repeats. The behavior escalates. The standard drops. And slowly, without intending to, you become a man she likes but no longer respects. Stoic philosophy aligns perfectly with this. Epictetus said, "You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate, not by what you say you tolerate, by what you actually allow." Words are cheap, consequences are expensive, and people pay attention to what costs them. So what does consequence look like in real life? It isn't shouting. It isn't punishing. It isn't emotional outbursts. It is quiet, calm, disciplined action. If she speaks to you in a tone you find disrespectful, you don't match the tone. You don't argue. You don't lecture. You simply step away, disengage, and return only when the dynamic resets to respect. If she cancels on you last minute without reason, you don't beg to reschedule. You don't reward the behavior. You simply reduce future availability. If she pushes a boundary repeatedly, you don't explain it 10 more times. You change the terms of the connection. Women don't respect men who repeat themselves. Women respect men who act. Machiavelli put it bluntly: men quickly forget the death of a father, but never the loss of their estate. In modern terms, people forget your complaints, but they remember your consequences. A woman feels most secure with a man whose standards are real, standards with weight, standards she cannot talk her way through, charm her way around, or cry her way out of. She doesn't need you to be harsh. She needs you to be firm. She needs to know you will protect the integrity of the relationship by protecting the integrity of your boundaries. Kindness matters. Warmth matters. Compassion matters. But without consequence, kindness becomes exploitation. Without consequence, compassion becomes self-betrayal. Without consequence, love becomes imbalance. A man who can be kind and firm is the man a woman respects for life. If this speaks to you, drop a comment and write, "I enforce standards." And my friend, if you want to go deeper into these principles, the forbidden psychology, the advanced Stoic strategies, the relationship frameworks I can't share publicly, make sure you join the channel membership. That's where I break things down with full detail. Stay with me, because next we're going into a truth most men never admit. She mirrors your value, not your feelings. Number 5, she mirrors your value, not your love. Let's talk straight, my friend. A woman does not treat you based on how deeply you love her. She treats you based on how deeply she values you. These are not the same thing, and most men learn that difference the hard way. You can love a woman with full devotion, but if your value in her eyes drops, your presence, your direction, your confidence, your standards, her behavior shifts instantly. Not because she planned it, but because women mirror what they feel, not what you feel. Let me bring this down to real life. Robert, 56, from Nevada, had been seeing a woman named Karen, 53. Robert adored her. He showed up for every need she had, checked in constantly, showered her with warmth, and made sure she never doubted his feelings. But as months passed, something odd happened. Karen's affection didn't grow. It shrank. She grew colder, shorter, less invested. Robert kept increasing the love, hoping it would bring her back. But it didn't, because his love was not the problem. His value perception was. He gave too much of himself too easily, and without realizing it, he lowered the psychological value of his presence. Now compare that with a different story. Thomas, 52, from Florida, began dating a woman named Michelle, 51. Thomas liked her, but he didn't throw everything at her immediately. He kept his routines, he kept his standards, he kept his life moving. He gave her warmth, yes, but he gave it in measured, intentional doses. He didn't rush to prove himself. He didn't over-explain his intentions. He didn't overwhelm her with attention. He let her earn deeper access to him. And because of that, Michelle mirrored his value. She put in effort. She initiated calls. She showed appreciation. She invested emotionally. The difference? Robert gave love, hoping she would value him. Thomas showed value, and her love naturally followed. A woman reflects the level of man you are right now, not the level of devotion you feel. Here's the part most men miss. When your value rises, her investment rises. When your value drops, her interest drops. This has nothing to do with money or status. It has everything to do with presence, boundaries, emotional discipline, self-respect, and the way you carry yourself as a man. A woman senses whether you live with intention or desperation. She senses whether you choose her from strength or cling to her from fear. She senses whether you love her because she is part of your life or because she is your life. Women don't follow men who overextend. Women follow men who embody value, and value is not loud. Value is not needy. Value is not proven through effort. Value is felt. That's why Robert struggled. His love became a substitute for personal value, and Karen reacted accordingly. Not with cruelty, but with instinct. She mirrored his emotional position, not his emotional depth. If you want a woman to rise, you have to rise first. When your behavior reflects strength, direction, boundaries, and calm masculine presence, her behavior mirrors it. She becomes softer, more feminine, more appreciative, more invested. Not because you demand it, but because you embody the energy that pulls it out of her. A woman does not fall for love alone. She falls for the man she respects. She mirrors the man she values. If this resonates, drop a comment and write "I raise value." Don't go anywhere. Next, we dive into a truth most men ignore. She follows the man who leads himself, not the man who tries to lead her. Number 6. She follows the man who leads himself. Let's get something straight, my friend. A woman does not follow a man because he demands it, because he raises his voice, or because he tries to convince her that he's the leader. She follows a man who leads himself, his life, his emotions, his decisions, his direction, his mission. The masculine path is not about controlling her. It's about controlling you. And when you do that, she naturally aligns with your energy without you ever needing to force anything. This truth shows up in every stage of dating and relationships. When a man is centered, intentional, and self-directed, a woman feels it instantly. She feels it in how he speaks, slow, steady, grounded. She feels it in how he moves, deliberate, decisive. She feels it in his reactions, or the lack of them. A man who leads himself does not respond to everything. He chooses, he filters, he decides based on values, not impulses, and that alone sets him apart from 99% of men her age. Stoic philosophy nails this perfectly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Women feel that mastery. They can sense when a man is ruled by his emotions, his loneliness, his fear of losing her, or his desire for approval. And they can sense when a man operates from inner authority, calm, ordered, rational, disciplined. That's why a woman becomes distant when a man starts revolving his life around her. She doesn't want to be his compass. She doesn't want to be his purpose. She doesn't want to be the thing he organizes himself around. She wants a man who is already on a path, already moving forward, already living with intention. And then she wants to walk beside him, not in front of him and not dragging him behind her. Leading yourself looks like this. You keep your routine even when she wants more time. You stay grounded even when she feels overwhelmed. You choose your priorities instead of rearranging your world for attention. You act from long-term vision, not short-term emotion. You walk away from disrespect calmly, not to punish her, but to honor your standard. A woman follows the man who follows his own code. Machiavelli observed that people align with leaders who project stability, not through aggression, but through direction. And that principle applies here perfectly. When your decisions are clear, when your boundaries are steady, when your behaviors are consistent, she can trust you. She can relax. She can lean into you emotionally because she doesn't feel responsible for keeping you stable. Women don't want to carry the man. They want to feel carried by his presence, not controlled, but supported. What turns a woman off is not weakness. It's lack of leadership over your own life. When you let your job, your emotions, your impulses, or your desire for her pull you around like a leaf in the wind, she tunes out. She feels unsafe, not physically, but emotionally. She feels like she has to step into the masculine role to create stability, and that kills attraction instantly. But when you lead yourself, your habits, your finances, your discipline, your health, your purpose, her feminine instinct softens. She becomes more cooperative, more trusting, more open, and more invested, because now she feels the masculine presence she naturally responds to. A woman doesn't need you to lead her. She needs you to lead you. When you do, she follows naturally. If this speaks to you, drop a comment and write, "I lead myself." Let's keep going. Next, we break down the silent truth most men feel but hate to admit. She withdraws the moment you start needing her too much. Number 7. She withdraws when you need her too much. Let's talk honestly, my friend. A woman doesn't pull away because you care about her. She doesn't distance herself because she wants to punish you. She withdraws when your desire turns into dependence, when your interest turns into emotional weight, and when your connection starts to feel like a responsibility instead of a choice. The moment she senses that you need her more than you need your own center, her instincts shift. She steps back, she breathes, she recalibrates, and most men misread all of it. Look at a situation I see all the time with men your age. Jonathan, 58, from North Carolina, started off strong with a woman named Rebecca, 56. In the early weeks, he was grounded. He had his rhythm, his golf group, his morning routine, his sense of purpose. That's exactly what drew Rebecca toward him. He wasn't clingy. He wasn't chasing. He wasn't desperate. He was a man with a life. But slowly, things changed inside him. He didn't notice it at first. He just wanted a little more reassurance, a little more time, a little more connection. But those small wants piled up until they turned into need. When Rebecca didn't text back immediately, he felt anxious. When she wanted a night alone, he saw it as distance. When her tone shifted, he panicked. And without meaning to, Jonathan made her the center of his emotional stability. That was the moment she withdrew. Not because she stopped caring, but because something heavy fell into her hands. When a woman feels like she's carrying a man's mood, she instinctively steps back. It's the same way you'd step back if someone started leaning their full weight on your shoulders. You might love them, but the load makes you want space. Now compare that with Daniel, 56, from Texas, who was seeing a woman named Marissa, 54. Daniel wanted her deeply, but he stayed emotionally self-reliant. If she took longer to respond, he didn't crumble. If she felt overwhelmed, he gave her space without fear. If she needed time to herself, he didn't interpret it as threat. His emotional center stayed inside him, not inside the relationship. And that energy made Marissa feel free, safe, and drawn toward him. She didn't feel pressure. She felt polarity. Most men hate this truth, but here it is. A woman cannot be your emotional foundation. She can only connect to a man who already has one. When you place your identity or stability in her hands, she doesn't feel honored. She feels burdened, and instinctively, she retreats to restore the masculine-feminine balance. Stoic wisdom fits perfectly here. Epictetus said that the more you depend on what you do not control, the more you suffer. A woman's attention, her responses, her moods, none of that is yours to control. When you anchor your well-being to them, you place yourself in a losing position. But when your peace comes from your own habits, values, and direction, she relaxes. She feels your weight without having to carry it. A woman moves closer to the man who stands firm within himself. She pulls away only when he hands her the responsibility of holding him together. And once you understand that, you stop chasing reassurance and start becoming the man she naturally leans toward. If this speaks to you, drop a comment and write, "I stand solid. Stay with me." Next, we take on a truth many men deny until it's too late. She responds far more to your power than to your pleasing. Number 8. She responds to power, not pleasing. Let's get something straight, my friend. A woman is not moved by a man who bends over backwards to make her happy. She's not drawn to the man who tries to impress her, win her approval, or tiptoe around her emotions. Pleasing doesn't create attraction. It creates comfort at best and boredom at worst. What pulls a woman in is power. Not domination, not force, not ego. I'm talking about inner power. The kind that comes from self-respect, boundaries, emotional control, and a life guided by purpose instead of fear. Every man who struggles with women tends to make the same mistake. He confuses niceness with strength. He thinks that if he reduces conflict, says yes more, softens his opinions, and avoids upsetting her, she'll value him more. But all he does is show her he's scared of losing her. And the moment she senses fear in you, she subconsciously stops seeing you as the grounded masculine presence she can trust. This is why women are drawn to men who are calm under pressure. Men who can say no without raising their voice. Men who don't rush to earn affection. Men who don't need reassurance every time the energy shifts. That steadiness feels like power to a woman. And power, quiet, controlled power, is what creates desire. Stoic philosophy nails this beautifully. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The true power of a man is the calm he brings." That line is everything. A man who pleases brings tension because he's performing. But a man who stands firm brings calm because he's authentic. Women feel that difference instantly. This is why trying too hard always backfires. When you try to please, you're telling her your behavior is based on her reaction. Your confidence is dependent on her mood. Your decisions are shaped by her approval. And that turns the dynamic upside down. She becomes the emotional leader, and you become the follower. Attraction dies in that imbalance. Now think about power as a behavior. Power shows up when you take your time instead of rushing. When you speak with intention instead of apologizing for every sentence. When you keep your schedule instead of erasing it for her. When you stay grounded during disagreements instead of folding just to keep the peace. When you hold your standards even if it means disappointing her. That doesn't make you cold. It makes you trustworthy. A woman can relax into a man who stands firm, not because he controls her, but because he controls himself. She feels safe around a man whose emotions don't swing with hers. She feels drawn to a man who stays centered, even when she's off balance. She respects a man who doesn't trade his dignity for a moment of validation. The truth is simple. Pleasing is a strategy of fear. Power is a strategy of self-respect, and women sense the difference faster than you can imagine. When you stand in your power, she leans in, she listens more closely, she softens, she invests. She feels that deep instinctual pull you can't create by being agreeable. But when you try to please, she feels the weakness behind it, and instinctively, she steps back. A woman doesn't want the man who sacrifices himself to keep her comfortable. She wants the man who stays true to himself no matter how she feels in the moment. Because that man is stable. That man is grounded. That man is safe to desire. If this resonates, drop a comment and write, "I choose power." Let's keep going. In the next part, we expose another truth most men overlook. She stays only when the exchange feels worth it. Number 9. She stays only when exchange feels worth it. Let's talk like men who've lived a little, my friend. A woman doesn't stay in your life because of history, promises, or the years you've invested. She stays because the exchange still makes sense to her. And before you take that personally, understand this. It's not just female nature. It's human nature. Machiavelli said people remain loyal only while the benefits outweigh the cost, and relationships are no exception. To make this real, let me paint a picture that many men your age have lived through. Stephen, 57, from Minnesota, had been with a woman named Julia, 54, for almost 3 years. In the beginning, they were great together. He offered stability, maturity, emotional presence. She offered warmth, support, and companionship. But gradually, Stephen slipped into a pattern he didn't notice. He stopped taking care of his health, stopped pursuing his interests, stopped growing. Meanwhile, Julia kept evolving. She took classes, improved her fitness, built friendships. Without realizing it, Stephen started taking the relationship for granted, and the exchange became one-sided. He was receiving more than he was offering. And little by little, Julia pulled away. Not to hurt him, but because the dynamic stopped feeling balanced. Now look at the opposite scenario. Andrew, 55, from Indiana, started seeing a woman named Melissa, 52. Their connection was strong, but what kept Melissa invested wasn't romance alone. It was the exchange. Andrew brought emotional steadiness, direction, and a life that was still expanding. Melissa brought support, feminine softness, and genuine companionship. Both of them contributed something meaningful to the dynamic. Neither one was carrying the relationship alone, and because the exchange felt fair, Melissa stayed fully engaged. Not out of obligation, but out of instinct. This is the part most men ignore. A woman doesn't require perfection, but she does require balance. If she's giving energy, affection, loyalty, attention, and emotional presence while you're giving excuses, passivity, or stagnation, she won't say it directly. She'll just slowly detach. Not to punish you, but because the exchange no longer feels worth the emotional cost. A relationship is not a fairy tale. It's an ongoing trade of value. Emotional value, psychological value, spiritual value, even sexual value. When those elements flow both ways, connection thrives. When one person provides everything and the other provides nothing, attraction dies. Women don't stay because you need them. Neediness actually cheapens the exchange. They stay because they feel that being with you elevates their life. And that elevation doesn't have to be financial. It can be emotional strength, stability, masculine grounding, leadership, direction, or even the peace she feels in your presence. Stoic thinking fits here perfectly. Seneca wrote that every partnership must be mutually beneficial, or it will dissolve under its own imbalance. Modern relationships follow that same law. When the benefits are shared, the bond grows. When the benefits fade, the bond cracks. Stephen learned this too late. He believed loyalty would carry him through. But loyalty without contribution is weight, not glue. Andrew understood something deeper. If he kept growing, kept offering value, kept leading himself, the relationship would naturally stay balanced. And Melissa responded to that with consistent affection, interest, and loyalty. A woman stays when the exchange feels fair. She leaves when it becomes one-sided. And the moment you embrace this truth, you stop expecting love to survive without value, and you start becoming the man whose presence is always worth staying for. If this resonates, drop a comment and write, "I create value." Let's keep going. The final truth reveals why she desires the man she can never fully own. Number 10. She desires the man she can never fully own. Let's close this with one of the deepest truths most men never want to admit, my friend. A woman's desire doesn't burn strongest for the man she fully understands, controls, or possesses. It burns for the man she can feel, but not fully hold. The man whose presence affects her, whose energy pulls her in, but whose identity remains rooted in something bigger than the relationship. Not because he's distant, not because he's cold, but because his life is not something she can wrap her hands around and claim as her own. A woman doesn't want ownership, she wants access. and the difference between the two determines whether attraction lives or dies. She desires the man who can love her deeply, yet remain grounded in his own mission. The man who gives affection freely but keeps his center untouched. The man who invests in the relationship, but not at the cost of his identity. That subtle separation, where you care for her without collapsing into her, creates emotional space she can feel. It creates mystery. It creates tension. It creates the sense that she is connected to something she cannot fully predict or domesticate. That tension is not manipulation. It's nature. Look at any relationship that lost its spark, especially for men in their 40s, 50s, or 60s. Attraction didn't disappear because the man didn't try hard enough. It disappeared because the man gave himself away completely. He made her the center of his emotional universe. He let go of his interests, his friends, his quiet rituals, his sense of edge. He stopped being someone she could discover and became someone she could fully map. And once she mapped him, desire faded. Not because she stopped caring, but because the masculine energy she was drawn to no longer existed. On the other hand, the men who stay magnetic into their later years share one thing in common. They never stop being a little bit unknowable. Not in a secretive way, but in a grounded, internal way. Their emotions are steady. Their choices are deliberate. Their inner world is not up for negotiation. They don't need validation, permission, or approval. They move with a quiet purpose that a woman can sense but not rewrite. Machiavelli understood this long before modern psychology did. He wrote that people admire what they cannot fully access, and they become devoted to what they cannot completely control. This same instinct shows up in relationships. When a woman senses that you belong first to your path, to your code, to your discipline, she feels a blend of curiosity and respect that keeps desire alive. You are with her, but not absorbed by her. You are close, but not conquered. And Stoicism reinforces the same principle. Marcus Aurelius said, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." A woman feels the strength of a man who lives by that rule. She feels his independence. She feels his emotional boundaries. She feels the firmness of a man who leads himself and does not drift based on her moods or reactions. That stability gives her freedom to relax, soften, trust, and desire. It allows her to be feminine because you remain firmly masculine. You don't become desirable by being distant. You become desirable by being whole. A woman desires the man she can touch but never tame, the man she can love but never own, the man whose inner world remains his, and because of that, becomes irresistibly attractive. That's the truth most men never learn until too late. And now you know it. Here's the truth, my friend. Everything we covered today was meant to pull you out of the fantasies most men still live in. You saw that women respond to benefit, to strength, to balance, to power, to self-leadership, and to a man who keeps his identity instead of giving it away. These aren't cynical ideas. They're the laws that actually hold relationships together when you understand them and destroy them when you ignore them. If you want the deeper breakdowns, the advanced psychology, and the private lessons I can't share publicly, make sure you join the channel membership. And if you want to keep growing every day with videos like this, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching, my friend. I appreciate your time, and I'll see you tomorrow.